Good day, everyone. My name is Travis Giffen. I am the Assistant Director of Online Programs here at the College of Education. Thank you all for joining us for our information session today with the Department of Diversity and Equity in Education to talk about their EdM program and their graduate certificate. While we are getting started, just a heads up, you have been muted. Your video is turned off. You can feel free to turn your video on if you would like to. But we ask that you stay muted until we get to the Q&A portion of the presentation. Unless we get a lot of late people joining, you should be able to go ahead and unmute yourself to ask your question. You can either raise your hand if you have your video turned off, or you can raise your hand using the Zoom chat feature. Also, go ahead and let us know a little bit about yourself. Let us know where you're from in the chat. Make sure that that's working for you. And I have some quick polls that I'm going to launch here so that we get to know a little bit about everybody that's coming. And then we have a poll when we get to the end just to give us some feedback on the session today. So while everybody's looking at that, feel free to let us know what you're interested in learning about today so that we can be sure to get those questions answered throughout the presentation today. And what is your interest in diversity and equity? Go ahead and let us know. It is good to see so many of you here with us today. So while folks are getting those polls and getting us some input on who we have joining us here today, I'm also going to just briefly remind everybody the purpose of this session. We'll be focusing on the Department of Diversity and Equity in Education. We have staff and faculty here to talk with us about the Online Masters of Education program and their graduate certificates. In the session, we'll talk a little bit about the eligibility, program structure, admissions, some career paths. We do have lots of other programs here with online programs in the College of Ed and with diversity and equity, including our doctoral program. If you have other questions about any of the other programs not covered in the session today, please go ahead and reach out to us at onlineprograms@education.illinois.edu. We're happy to answer those questions. We can even schedule a one-on-one appointment or a phone call or Zoom session with you to answer questions about anything that we don't get covered here today. Or also, if you think of any questions after the session, you can reach out to us. With that said, I'm going to go ahead and turn things over to, well, I'm going to do some other introductions actually briefly first. So just a little bit about some of the program staff here that we have on the call. Again, I'm Travis Giffen, the Assistant Director of Online Programs. We also have Gina Poff, Online Academic and Student Services Coordinator. And we also have Brianna Davis, our Online Student Advisor. We have the Assistant Dean of Online Programs for Learning and Innovation, Sangeetha Gopalakrishnan. Not here with us today, but you might hear from her if you inquire about the program, is Laura Ketchum, and she is the assistant head of EPOL. If you see any of us answering your questions in the chat, you can rest assured that we are from the program and the university here, and you will be getting correct information. And with that, I'm going to turn things over to Dr. Sharon Lee to share briefly about faculty in the program and talk about the program.
Thanks, Travis. Hi, everybody. Welcome. Thank you for coming. My name is Sharon Lee. I am a teaching professor in EPOL under the D&E concentration, and I'm the program leader for D&E. So I'm here to tell you a little bit about who we are and what D&E can offer you if you're interested in it. So these are some of the other faculty listed under diversity and equity. I know that Dr. Yoon Pak, who is the head of our department, is also here. So I'm going to turn over for her to just say a quick hello and welcome.
Yes, thank you. Hello, and so glad that you're with us from all over that I see. So I am Yoon Pak. I am the head of education policy, organization, and leadership, and have been at the University of Illinois since I finished graduate school, since 1999. So that's been a while. But there's just so many things I love about being at Illinois, and I'm just eager to share those experiences with you, should you choose to join us in our EdM degree program. And my background is in history of American education, but I also teach as a core member of diversity and equity. So with that, I'm going to send it back to Dr. Lee to tell us a little bit more about our great program.
Thanks, Dr. Pak. We can move on to the next slide. So diversity and equity in our program, our department at University of Illinois has a long history of being very much a leader in social justice education in terms of looking at inequity and diversity in a structural, historical, sort of social foundations way. And so this relates for all learning environments, P316, as well as workplace and workforce organizations. So if you were to decide to apply to the EDM in our program, what would happen is when you graduate, your concentration, it's a little bit complicated, but you would be getting your degree in the Department of Education Policy, Organization, and Leadership. It would read EDM and EPOL, would not say online on your transcript or on your diploma. And then your transcript will list the concentration. So it will say that you earned it in EPOL with a concentration in diversity and equity. Next slide. So a little bit of structural description about our online classes. Our classes are 8 weeks long in the fall and in the spring semesters. So you'll hear the term part of term. So part of term A will be the first 8 weeks in fall. That's usually late August through mid-October. And then term B starts right after that with no break in between, mid-October through early December. Spring is the same. In summer, there are 2 6-week sessions. And so depending on how many courses you wish to take per semester, a semester has 2 terms in it, is up to you. But usually students who are working full-time tend to take 1 course each term. So 1 course in term A, 1 course in term B in the fall and the spring. Most classes, although all online, do have a synchronous Zoom session weekly, usually in the evenings during central time hours, lasting from 2 to 2.5 hours. There are also asynchronous assignments during the week. Our learning management system is Canvas. So most, well, at least in diversity and equity, all the courses will be using Canvas. So there'll be discussion posts, readings, assignments, and then in addition to the weekly class session. Attendance is usually expected, but it's always up to the professor of the class in terms of the attendance policies. So if you oftentimes might have to miss a week or 2 because of a work conflict or family conflict, that's usually okay. But of course, we always say, ask the instructor for how you, you know, could make up any of those the days that you miss. But there is, we want to reiterate, there is a synchronous aspect. It's one of the strengths of our program that we really like to emphasize. And so for students who are looking for a completely asynchronized online degree, it's probably not going to be the right fit because we do rely on that online engagement for discussion of readings, connecting with your peers and talking with your professor and your teaching assistants. Next slide. So our EDM is 32 credit hours. Each class is 4 credit hours, so it's 8 classes. And so one concentration course that everyone's required to take is EPOL 403, which is historical and social barriers. And then you would select among the listed possible classes for other concentration courses. And this would, of course, be related to your interest. For instance, if you're interested in workplace diversity or like in diversity in higher education. Next slide. And so then you also have a number of choices for the rest of your courses. So depending on your interest and on when the course is offered and your availability, then you can choose and decide. So I know it's on this slide, EPOL 403 obviously should not be on there because you need to take it, but you would select one other foundations course. So there's a lot of choices. So you would again get to choose from one course in EPOL. Next slide. And then one course in Ed Psychology Foundations. And then next slide. And then 3 electives. And then if any of these electives are not available, always you can check with your advisor. You will be assigned a faculty advisor upon admission to determine what other courses could meet other electives. So there's a certain degree of flexibility for electives. Foundations courses are required, but we definitely encourage you to talk with your advisor upon admission if you have any problems or any questions about the course requirements. Next slide. So 12 of your 32 hours must be at the 500 level. So you saw a lot of those courses were at the 400. 400 level courses are still graduate courses. They just sometimes allow upperclassmen undergrads to come in. It just depends on the way that the faculty members decided. But we want at least 12 at the 500 level. And in terms of time limit, the time it takes based on the graduate college rules is within 5 years upon admission. If anything happens, if there are extenuating circumstances and you need longer than that, there is a petition process that you can initiate. But generally we feel, depending on if you're working full time, the 8 courses, taking the 8 courses, I mean, on average, if you were to take 6 courses a year, 1 course every term, including summers, then that would get you to, you'd get through it pretty quickly in terms of the number of courses. And the next slide, at least the last slide I have, is oftentimes we're asked, what are the potential career paths for a Master's of Education in Diversity and Equity? It really varies. We have students from all over the world who enroll and apply to this program. So many applicants are teachers, are currently teaching in school systems or working in higher education or working within a workplace. And so having that master's degree from the University of Illinois is important for your own credentialing and for whatever job promotion that would help you to advance to the next step. But because we have a variety of students in different fields, it really helps them kind of move up within their own career goals beyond your current position and degree. And I think that I turn it over now to our next speaker.
Thank you, Sharon.
Isn't it me, Travis?
Yes.
Thank you. So we've had some great information about the online master's program. I also wanted to share with you another option. If you're not interested in a degree program at this time, or if you already have a master's, as I saw in the chat, and you're interested in gaining an additional credential, we have some options for you. So we have a graduate certificate in diversity and equity in education. I'll tell you a little bit more about that. And I also wanted to give you a heads up that we're launching a brand new certificate in graduate certificate in cancer education and management in underrepresented and diverse communities. And that's starting in fall. That's also a graduate certificate. Next slide, please. So for the diversity and equity in education, the graduate certificate in a D&E, you will complete a total of 3 courses, and we've given you some details about the courses. So this certificate, you will need a bachelor's degree. If you're not a current student, you can still pursue this certificate of specialization. If you are a current student, you can also pursue the certificate of specialization. I would recommend that you set up a one-on-one meeting with our online student advisor, Brianna Davis, and she can go over this option with you in detail. But it is a graduate certificate. Next, please. So this one, as I said, is coming in fall, coming soon to this theater, I guess, here. So I've provided a link here, and we can paste it in the chat as well. So if you want to know more about this certificate, there is a link there which says request for information. So if you click on that, we can send you more information as it's coming up about information sessions and so on and so forth. All right, next slide. I also wanted to give you, share with you that we also have another brand new offering in this space of, in this larger space of diversity and equity. It is on teaching equitable Asian American community history. It's a non-credit opportunity. It is already live, and you can go through this learning opportunity at the URL that's indicated above. Currently, we're offering it for free. and you can use it to get professional development hours. And again, if you have very specific questions about this opportunity, there's enough expertise in the room to answer these questions. But it's something for you to think about if you're interested in this area. And then I think this is Brianna Davis.
Yes, it is. Hello, everyone. My name is Brianna Davis. I'm the online student advisor in the Office of Online Programs. So I work to help to provide additional supports to our students and our prospective students. So I know I've put some information in the chat. If any of you have questions following the session, you can certainly reach out to me and I'm happy to answer any questions you might have. For now, we're just going to touch base on a couple of bits of logistical information. So in terms of admissions, admission is going to take place through the graduate college application. So if you're interested in one of our programs, you will need to first complete a graduate college application. After you've submitted that application, our admission team here in the College of Education will review your application and make an admission recommendation to the graduate college. From there, the graduate college will review your application and make an official admission recommendation from there. So you might see, as you go through the application process, you might see a couple different areas reaching out to you regarding your application. So just a heads up that we do operate through the graduate college for our application process. Degree seeking students will again complete that graduate college application, which is found entirely online. So you can go to the link listed here to complete that application. We do admit students for every part of term. So as Dr. Lee previously mentioned, we do have our part of term A and our part of term B, which means that in short, we admit students 6 different times a year. So if you are interested in beginning this program as soon as possible, our next start date, if you will be our summer term A, which will begin in May. So the deadline for that application is going to be April 15th. But the good news is if you miss one of our application deadlines, you're not that far away from another deadline. So we've got a lot of opportunities to begin this program. In terms of deadlines for admission, if you are interested in our certificate of specialization program in diversity and equity in education, as Sangeeta was talking to us about, the summer 2023 course registration will begin on April 17th. So non-degree seeking students and students in our certificate of specialization programs actually do not need to complete an online application the way that our EdM students need to, but instead you'll register for your courses through the Center for Innovation in Teaching and Learning. And again, if you're interested in beginning coursework as early as this summer, registration for our non-degree seeking students will begin on April 17th. And then lastly, just some information about tuition and financial aid. The cost is going to be $500 per credit hour. Our online students are not going to be charged for on-campus fees since this is a program that's built to be completed remotely. Keep in mind that tuition is certainly subject to change. In terms of full-time student status, if you are seeking financial aid for our EdM or our graduate certificate program, you'll need to be enrolled in a minimum of 6 credit hours per semester in order to be eligible for financial aid. As Dr. Lee previously mentioned, our courses in this program are each going to be worth 4 credit hours. So for your reference, to be eligible for financial aid, you'll need to be registered for a minimum of 2 courses per semester. If you are seeking full-time student status for any other purpose aside from financial aid, you'll need to be enrolled in a minimum of 12 credit hours per semester. If you are interested in securing financial aid, you'll need to begin by filling out the FAFSA. And when doing so, please be sure to indicate the University of Illinois Urbana-Champaign as one of your schools of interest. So that way we can have your information in our financial aid office. But if you have any more in-depth questions about the financial aid process or financial aid that might be available to you, please contact the Office of Student Financial Aid directly at finaid@illinois.edu.
This is me. So I wanted to give you some concluding thoughts. So you've heard some great information in the session already. So if you're still on the fence about why you would choose education at Illinois, so consider this: we are a top tier research university. We've been ranked number 3 by US News and World Report's. For the third consecutive year, our online masters in education programs are ranked number 3. And our ranking has to do with our affordability and our quality. Our classes are taught by our world-class faculty. You have a couple of such world-class faculty here in the room, Dr. Lee and Dr. Pak. They are very well known in the field of diversity and equity. So you will be taught by top-notch faculty. We focus on online student engagement a lot here at the college. So we're continuously thinking about ways to make the learning more engaging for our students. And you will also be learning, you will learn not only from our world-class faculty, but you will be learning with peers that have very diverse and rich backgrounds. As you just saw from the chat, you know, we have here a representation of students from different parts of the world, from different parts of the United States, from different careers who've had different backgrounds. So all that will make for a very rich learning experience. And being a top-tier research university, University of Illinois has extensive resources for students, and you will have access to most of these wonderful resources for students. So those are some things, some very good reasons for you to choose to study here at the College of Education. Next slide. And if you're interested in reading about this, our ranking and knowing more about the story, here's a link to the story, and I'll post this link in the chat as well, so you can read it later on. Next slide. So I hope you will make a decision to study with us. And as you know, it starts with a very simple application. So go ahead and explore the link. And we're now going into Q&A. So if you have any remaining questions, we're happy to answer it.
Thank you for that. Yeah, so we are now in the Q&A portion. I went ahead and just shared the link to the US News and World Report article that Sangeeta was talking about in case anybody wants to read that or look at more information tied to that article. But yeah, so we are now in the Q&A portion. Feel free to raise your hand using either the Zoom feature, turn on your camera if you want to. You can raise your hand that way, or type a question in the chat, and I'm happy to read that out for folks watching this recording back later, and also so that we can answer your question live.
Could I just interject quickly, Travis? So just as a reminder, so we're trying to keep the focus of this session on our online masters and on our online graduate certificates. If you're interested in the online doctoral program, you're welcome to send an email to our online student advisor, Brianna Davis, and she can route it to the faculty as needed.
So one question that we did get that I'm gonna ask from the chat here, and I'll go ahead and answer it too, is I had a question about if the certificate does transfer into either the doctorate or the the EdM program. The certificate in diversity and equity in education does transfer over into both of the EPOL programs, both the EdM and the EDD, if that is what you are interested in. Up to 12 credits can be accepted into those programs at this time. Yes, I see we have, I believe, Tasha, and you had a question. Feel free to ask it.
Hello, everybody. Thank you. It's Tisha. And
Tisha.
I did put a question in the chat, and I see that was answered around whether there would be any courses, certificate courses focused on curriculum development and diversity. So we're not there quite yet. I guess another a question that I have is, if you have applicants who do have some professional experience in DEI, as I do, is any of that considered maybe towards admission, maybe waiving some requirements, or how might that work?
I can start that conversation. So we're really about coursework that's taken that may have transferability. And we certainly do appreciate folks who have great DEI professional experience. And what we found is that the courses that we provide really enhances and complements the knowledge base that can be added to it, because one of the important ways in which that we structure our courses is that there are the historical components, the politics of schooling, for example, but also workplaces, higher education. It depends on what different types of industry that one would be interested in. At best, it would be an important feature where you bring your perspectives into classroom conversations.
Thank you.
We did get one question that was answered, but I thought that I know that this situation comes up quite a bit, Brianna, but so some individuals are interested, if they get admitted for fall, are they able to potentially start taking classes earlier this summer?
Yeah, certainly. And I saw that Gina answered that as well. If you are admitted to, for example, the fall term and you'd like to begin taking courses sooner than that, please reach out to us directly so that way we can take a look and see if we're able to recode you for an earlier term, so that way you can get a jump start on your program.
As someone is composing their next question, I thought I'll elaborate on something. I saw a conversation in the chat about starting with a certificate. Start doing a graduate certificate is also a good idea if you're not sure if this is the right field for you or not. So it's a great way to do a fewer number of courses and then make a decision afterwards whether you want to go on to a degree program. So most definitely, that is something that is an attraction about a graduate certificate as well.
I did see we got a question about course descriptions and information. You can find all of that information on our website. I'm going to go ahead and share the link directly for the EdM program. Also, you can navigate that way. And then as Gina Poff shared in the chat, you can also view them on Course Explorer at courses.illinois.edu.
So I actually have a question to our participants here, and you can provide it in the chat. I'm just curious, what would you like to do with a potential master's in diversity and equity? You can even raise your hand, but both methods are fine.
Yeah, go ahead, Caitlin.
Yes, hi. Thanks for letting me talk instead of type. I always appreciate that. I work as a high school counselor. I also have my principal leadership, and I'm hoping to move into more of a discipline dean role. And I always try to approach everything I do with an equitable lens. And so I'm also interested in maybe pursuing that in policy down the road. It just sounds like a really valuable, vital program. So there's a lot of different ways I could see using that in the future, but I'm excited to learn more, and thank you for having this session so we could get a deeper understanding of it. It's much appreciated.
I think I see Elaine's hand raised. Is it?
Oh, yes. Okay. Yep. I missed that with the background. Sorry, Elaine.
No worries. Thank you. I've been looking at this program for a while, and I really think it's valuable in the fact that, especially what I do, because I work with new teachers into the profession and learning to deal with students from K through 12th grade, having a knowledgeable background that I would be able to offer, seeing that they are dealing with a lot of trauma, or they are also dealing with a lot of varied backgrounds, so that our students, both our students that they teach and the students that I have, which are the teachers, I think I could be able to help them and guide them. And getting that current research that's out there, I think that's one of the important things for me to be on top of, so that I can help them.
Thank you for those that have shared so far. Some of the other things that I've seen people share in the chat is that they'd like to add more of a historical knowledge to their current work as a DEI curriculum developer and PD presenter. Also interested in exploring community college teaching or career services administration or workforce development DEI curriculum. All sound like great things. And yes, as Yoon also shared, we do have a certificate in community college leadership also. While folks are looking at some other things, I could actually get that link and send it to you. We did have somebody ask how fast they could complete the EdM program and with taking 2 courses a term, that's 4 credit hours, ends up to 8 a semester, and then taking courses over the summer. Some people have finished it in a year and a half. I just shared the link to the certificate on community college leadership. If you have questions about that, feel free to email us at onlineprograms@education.illinois.edu.
And if I can also chime in just to let you know what is our approach in diversity and equity. And the important feature that we do is we actually question the basis of diversity and equity, because oftentimes when people do have the professional experience, and I hear from so many students, we're doing a DEI focus in our school district, we're doing this in our HR system. And then we get at the root of, well, how is it that your institution defines diversity and equity? Is it based in relevant research? How is it that your approach, and you meaning your district or your organization, how is it that it's also incorporating the kinds of rigorous research that we would also push you to do and to read upon? So this becomes a really dialogical process in the courses that we take, and to not take for granted the somewhat perhaps taken for grantedness of DEI being the buzzword or the phrase or the term out there, but really to interrogate what it means. It's also about interrogating our own positionalities within this. Do we really know DEI and our positionality and stances with it? Is it really about us doing things to quote unquote them, or how do we work together in this process? So we really reinforce and encourage that collaboration, the constant way of critical self-reflection in that process. And I've learned so much over the years from working with students and being in classrooms where I learned from the very things that so many of you may be doing on a daily basis, because it's not easy. So it's also a way to create the kind of community where you realize there's power in numbers to really transform institutions and organizations. So that's really the basis of who we are and how we teach our courses here.
still have plenty of time for questions. So if you think of anything, please be sure to let us know. If you think of them afterwards, you can reach out to us afterwards, and we are happy to follow up with you as well. I did let everyone know in the chat. I posted the last Zoom poll that I had just for some input on the session today. Thanks for everybody who's completed that so far. Really appreciate it. Looks like we have folks signing off. We really look forward to seeing many of you in classes in the future. We hope you will apply and look forward to seeing you in our programs. I'm going to do one last call for questions. Make sure anybody isn't working on anything or typing something out. I want to make sure that they have the chance to do that. And then we will probably wrap things up. We got a question here. What do you say sets U of I apart from other DEI programs?
Well, first of all, I don't know if there are too many other DEI programs. Secondly, because the history of the department is focused in and rooted in a social foundations and education perspective, we question the very nature of equity, equality, structural inequality, and the structural barriers from a strong historical, philosophical, sociological, economic lens. So that is an incredible, unique tradition that we've had for probably 60 years in the department that we really don't waver on. We're also not afraid to really ask the questions that need to be asked, to talk about racism, to talk about transgender issues. So we talk about it, and it's really whether or not students may be comfortable about it. But the reality is these are areas that we need to be engaged in, but how do we also engage within it in a way that is rooted in rigorous research and evidence? You can tell I'm passionate about it every time I talk about it.
It's always good to see that passion. Oh, and we did get a question here. No problem that you joined late. Did want to just let you know we have recorded the entire session and that will get sent out afterwards. But we're also happy to answer your question here.
So I would say there is an expectation for attendance of live weekly, class sessions, which are generally in the evening Central Time, Monday through Thursday. However, we know that almost all of our students in our online degree programs work full time, have families, have lots of, juggling lots of responsibilities. So we leave it up to the instructor of the course to determine attendance expectations. I personally, for me, when I teach online courses, all the courses are recorded. So for students who have to miss, I tell them, watch the recording, upload a summary, keep up with your work. I'm very flexible like that. And I think in general, other faculty are pretty flexible. It would be a different situation if a student wanted a completely asynchronous experience. That's not the nature of our program. But if you have to occasionally miss, we know that you're all busy working. So it's really up to each individual course. I don't, want to speak for everybody, but we understand that there's a lot of other responsibilities for that.
One other thing that I'd like to note is that our courses are hosted in an 8-week format. And so whenever you register for your courses, your course will meet synchronously one night per week for the course of that 8 weeks. So if you are looking ahead at your schedule, you're not necessarily blocking off, for example, Thursdays for the next, 16 weeks, 32 weeks, you're blocking off that one night a week for 8 weeks. And then for the next term, the next 8-week term, you can kind of reassess and see what works well for your schedule. So that kind of works in terms of the flexibility component as well, where every 8 weeks your schedule might change a little bit. So you can kind of take a look at your personal or professional calendar and try to coordinate your courses on that basis as well.
I'll also add that the program is really flexible and there's no cohort, like there's no prescribed order or number of courses that you have to take every semester to stay on track. You take as many as you want, as you can, in the order that makes sense to you, that you can afford and that fits in your schedule. So, to ask how long does it take to finish, it just depends. You could do it all in 2 semesters if you took 4 and if you took 4 and 4, if you were so inclined, or you could take 3 years, you could take up to 5 years. So we try to have you build up with the advice of your advisor or working with Brianna, what's the best order of classes, how many should I take, what's the best course I should take next based on my interest. We try to tailor it to everyone's different interest and capacities for how much they're able to take on each semester.
Thank you for the great question. I'll do a last call of sorts for questions. Give everybody else a chance. You can even just let me know if you're thinking or would like more time. Don't want to make anybody feel that they can't get their question answered, but also don't want to keep folks any longer if they have other things that they need to get to. All right, well, thank you all for joining us today. As I mentioned several times, this was recorded and will get sent out to everybody. We really appreciate your interest in the diversity and equity and education programs that we discussed today. Look forward to seeing you in courses and in our programs in the future. If you have any questions, you can reach out to us at onlineprograms@education.illinois.edu. Thank you all for attending, and I hope you have a great rest of your day. Take care.